she's fired.
This is huge news as we are getting this, that Trump is replacing Kristi Noem.
The president, as he likes to do, just made the announcement himself via Truth Social.
There was reports of frustration inside the White House.
Noem had reportedly been on shaky ground for months, but embarrassing blow-ups yesterday at a hearing on Capitol Hill reportedly pushed President Trump over the edge.
Have you had sexual relations with Cory Lewandowski?
A Democrat congresswoman pressed Noem about rumors that she's having a torrid affair with her top aide, Cory Lewandowski, Trump's former campaign manager.
I am shocked that we're going down and peddling tabloid garbage in this committee today.
If someone is asking if you or any federal official is sleeping with their subordinate, that should be the easiest. You should be wanting to answer that question.
Noem arrived with her husband of 34 years, Brian. He sat right behind her, but left before those awkward questions about Lewandowski.
Hey world, Adam here. The Kristi Noem story just took a turn that nobody saw coming. The official line is simple. She got fired over a $220 million ad campaign starring herself that she claimed Trump signed off on when he either didn't or says he didn't.
Kristi Noem is out as Homeland Security Chief. ABC's Nicole D'Antonio has new details about that shakeup.
I'm Kristi Noem.
Sources say the breaking point for President Trump when it came to Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem was this $220 million taxpayer-funded ad campaign featuring Noem galloping near Mount Rushmore. Senator John Kennedy pressed Noem about those ads during a hearing this week.
The president approved ahead of time you spending $220 million running TV ads across the country in which you are featured prominently.
Yes, sir. We went through the legal processes, did it correctly,
did the president
worked
know
with
you were going
OMB.
to do this?
Yes.
He did?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Overnight, the president saying, quote, "I spent less money than that to become president. I didn't know about it."
And some of that money flowed downstream to people close to Noem, including her former communications director, Tricia McLaughlin. That's the explanation they want you to accept. But there's so much more beneath the surface. Private jets, taxpayer dollars, an alleged affair, and Melania Trump caught in the middle of all of it. Let's start with the planes, 3 of them, like a shell game in the sky.
Could you explain this?
Sir, I'm looking at a picture of an interior, looks like a bedroom.
Of an airplane?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
You're not familiar with that?
These photos are not accurate. If you're referring to the airplanes that the Department of Homeland Security has purchased and are purchasing, we're using them for long-range command and control aircraft that is dictated in statute by Congress for the Department of Homeland Security to have a plane.
Luxury jet with a bedroom in it?
Yeah, we used a 737. I've been on it once, but it is being used by other administration officials, and it is used for command and control flights for the department. The department has found that in purchasing our aircraft, that we will save the taxpayers hundreds of millions of dollars.
Does it have a bedroom in it?
In fact, we spent $1.442 billion on ICE deportation flights.
2 were acquired for Homeland Security in the last 15 months at a cost of $172 million in taxpayer money. The third is a Boeing 737 Supermax equipped with a bedroom and a bar. That third plane became what some are calling a little lover's nest for Cory Lewandowski and Kristi Noem. Lewandowski, if you don't remember, was Trump's first campaign chair.
So, Secretary Noem, at any time during your tenure as Director of Department of Homeland Security, have you had sexual relations with Cory Lewandowski?
Mr. Chairman, I am shocked that we're going down and peddling tabloid garbage in this committee today.
Reclaiming
and
my
ma'am,
time.
one thing that I would tell you is that he is a special government employee who works for the White House. There are thousands of them in the federal government.
He found his way into Homeland Security despite a history of sexual predator accusations. Noem is married, Lewandowski is not, and according to multiple leaks, they spent a lot of time behind that closed bedroom door on taxpayer-funded flights. Now here's where Melania enters the picture. The reporting suggests that Lewandowski, who's cunning, if not ethical, had an idea. Use Melania to provide political cover. If anyone asks about the $90 million Boeing jet acquisition, point to the First Lady using it. So they lent the plane to Melania to shuttle between New York and Washington. Think about that. A $90 million taxpayer-funded aircraft with a bedroom and bar lent to the First Lady to provide cover for the Homeland Security Secretary's alleged affair. And Melania went along with it. Let's talk about Melania's actual presence in Washington. Since this administration started, she's been in the White House less than 13% of the time. 13%. 87% of the time she's not with her husband. She's not doing the job of First Lady. Remember all those people who bragged about Melania being the best First Lady ever? She's derelict in her duty. This is what honest services fraud looks like in practice. The reporting, including from Michael Wolff, has long concluded they have a separate marriage. I don't want to speculate about open marriages beyond what's known about Trump's history, but they've certainly had a separated arrangement. There was reporting that she wouldn't move to the White House the first time until her prenuptial was amended to give her several $billions more, and when he won again, they updated it again. Otherwise, she'd make no appearances. That's why she lingered in New York so long. So the question becomes, is the real reason Kristi Noem got fired because she tried to involve Melania in this mess? Because she used the First Lady as cover for her affair with Lewandowski? Because she dragged the Trump family into a scandal that was already spiraling? Let's go back to that $220 million ad campaign. Noem told the Senate it was competitively bid. She claimed she didn't know how money ended up in Tricia McLaughlin's family bank account. Then the next day, in front of the House, she had to admit it was not competitively bid. She had to admit she directed the contract to ensure money flowed to McLaughlin's family. And McLaughlin is close to whom? Cory Lewandowski. The same Cory Lowendowski she was allegedly having an affair with on that $90 million jet. The pattern is unmistakable. Taxpayer money flowing to people connected to her. Contracts directed to benefit friends and family. Private jets acquired for official use turned into personal playthings. And through it all, an affair conducted on the taxpayer dime with a man accused of sexual predation. Now imagine being grilled about this in Congress with your husband sitting in the audience. That actually happened. Noem had to answer questions about her relationship with Lewandowski while Mr. Noem watched from the gallery. The humiliation was broadcast for the world to see. But she survived that. She lasted through that hearing and kept her job. So what changed? The Melania angle. The attempt to use the First Lady as cover. That's the line you don't cross in Trumpworld. You can be incompetent. You can be immoral. You can be unethical. You can lie to Congress. You can waste $220 million. You can have an affair on a taxpayer-funded jet, but you do not drag Melania into your scandals. You do not use her to provide cover for your personal messes. Trump fired her with a social media post. Not a phone call, not a meeting, a tweet. That's how it ended for the Homeland Security Secretary. Tossed out like yesterday's garbage with 280 characters. J.B. Pritzker, the Illinois governor who's on every short list for future presidential runs, put it perfectly. Hey, Kristi Noem, don't let the door hit you on the way out. That's the appropriate response to someone who spent taxpayer money on self-promotion, directed contracts to friends, conducted an affair on government aircraft, and tried to hide it all behind the First Lady. But here's what should worry the Trump administration. Kristi Noem is now out in the wilderness with nothing to lose. She's in her 50s. She hasn't made the kind of money Trump has. She needs to make a living. She needs to rehabilitate her reputation. And she knows where all the bodies are buried. A tell-all book, a series of interviews, a complete Marjorie Taylor Greene-style excoriation of Trump? All are possible. All are on the table. When you fire someone by tweet and send them into the wilderness, you create an enemy with insider knowledge. And Noem has plenty of insider knowledge. She knows about the ad campaign. She knows about the jet acquisitions. She knows about the affair. She knows about using Melania for cover. She knows about Stephen Miller actually running Homeland Security. She knows about policies that led to deaths at the border. She knows where the bodies are buried because she helped bury some of them. Trump may have thought he was solving a problem by firing her. Instead, he may have created a much bigger one. A former cabinet secretary with nothing left to lose is a dangerous thing, and Noem has every incentive to start talking. Let's talk about those policies that led to deaths. When Noem was grilled in Congress about Renee Good and Alex Prey, people who died because of Homeland Security procedures, she said she was just following rules set by Trump and Stephen Miller. That admission alone should have been the end, confirming that Miller was actually running the department, confirming that the cruelty was by design, confirming that deaths were the predictable outcome of policies implemented from the top. But she survived that too. She kept her job because Trump doesn't care about competence or ethics. He cares about loyalty, and Noem was loyal until she wasn't, until she tried to use Melania as cover. That's the unforgivable sin in Trump world. You can fail at your job, you can waste money, you can have affairs, you can lie to Congress, but you do not involve the family. The three-plane shell game is a metaphor for the whole administration. Constant movement, constant deception, always hiding something behind something else. 2 planes acquired for $172 million. A third with a bedroom and bar, all taxpayer-funded, all used for personal purposes. And when questions started, they tried to hide behind Melania. Melania, who's rarely in Washington. Melania, who negotiated multi-million-dollar prenuptial amendments before agreeing to show up. Melania, who reportedly flew on Epstein's jet with Trump. Melania, who's now tied to a second private jet scandal. The pattern is consistent. Private jets, taxpayer money, personal use, cover-ups. Noem thought she could use the First Lady's involvement to shield herself. She thought if Melania was seen using the plane, no one would ask why it was acquired or who was really using it. She thought wrong, because the reporting came out anyway, the leaks happened anyway, and now she's fired and Melania's name is dragged through another scandal. Lewandowski, the alleged affair partner, is still around, still connected, still protected by someone. But Noem is gone, thrown overboard to save the ship. The question is whether throwing her overboard actually saves anything or just creates more leaks. Because Noem knows about the ad campaign. She knows about the contract steering. She knows about the McLaughlin family payments. She knows about the jet acquisitions. She knows about the affair. She knows about using Melania. She knows about Miller running the show. She knows about the policies that killed people. She knows everything, and now she has no reason to stay quiet. Trump's social media firing might feel satisfying in the moment. It might play to the base. But it's a strategic disaster. You don't fire a cabinet secretary with a tweet and expect them to go quietly into the night. You don't humiliate someone with insider knowledge and expect them to stay loyal. You don't create an enemy with nothing to lose. The Melania connection is what makes this story stick. The First Lady's involvement, however tangential, elevates this beyond another administration scandal. This is the Trump family directly implicated in covering for Noem's affair and financial misconduct. This is Melania's name attached to another private jet controversy. This is a pattern that keeps repeating. Private jets, taxpayer money, personal use, cover-ups. It's always the same. And now Kristi Noem is out, but the questions remain. Who else knew? Who else approved? Who else benefited? And what does Melania know about all of it? Pritzker's comment sums up the public reaction. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. Good riddance. But for the Trump administration, the door hitting Noem on the way out is just the beginning, because now she's on the other side of that door, and she has every reason to open her mouth. The affair, the jets, the money, the cover-up, the deaths at the border, the lies to Congress, the admission that Miller was really running things. All of it is now sitting in the memory of a fired cabinet secretary with nothing to lose. Trump may have solved a short-term problem by getting rid of Noem, but he may have created a long-term nightmare, because Kristi Noem knows where the bodies are buried, and now she has every incentive to start digging them up.